Guys and girls, welcome back to episode number 19 of Bros with Brains with my co-host Aaron Scarafi and Benjamin Button Mayfield.
You forgot the LGBT A B C D E F G community. So
yes, LGBT D C E F G / be whatever you want to be.
It's the all-inclusive podcast.
Yeah, it's nice when things come together like that.
I didn't plan that either. Just so that we didn't plan that.
I'm not saying I'm Eminem, but you've never seen us in the same room.
Script.
Yeah. Doctor Who. What's been going on, lads?
Well, I think me and you just got finished training legs, Scaffy, and I tell you, my left calf has been fucking pissing me off this last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You know, we train through it.
Yeah.
I'm
kind of scared to get up.
We train around it, not through
it. So I'm kind of scared.
Still that tweak? Was that what you're talking about?
The what?
Yeah.
There's still that tweak from the other week?
Yeah, the slight tweak. It's still there. It's we're talking about today. We think it's probably more a bit of a soleus injury. So it's taken a while to heal just because I walk on it every single day. So I just keep ripping the Band-Aid off. It's fucking annoying, but still managed to get decent numbers on the hack today, but it just wasn't. It's not what it was, you know, not what it was last week. So hopefully another week. We even modified our hamstring and glute session we had. We took out barbell RDLs and replaced it with lying leg curl, which, to be fair, did feel pretty damn amazing. But
it's been a while since we've done a lying leg curl.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done a lying leg curl, but you know, I'm partial to a barbell RDL. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this week we're a go. Things get better.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared to stand up after this podcast because I know my legs.
I just sat down and you just saw me gorging down that meal before we started. I should have just been here just spooning it into my mouth as we're going. I love to see the guys on Bro Chat do that.
Getting one of those, like, you know, those weird fetishes where people love the sound of just like.
Actually, let me ask you this question.
Here we go. He's on already.
Three of us pick. Who do you think you would be on Bro Chat?
Oh,
Fuad.
That's good.
I think Scaffy's definitely Fuad.
Yeah, Scaff would be Fuad for sure.
Yeah, I'm the old decrepit fuck. Who has to keep everyone in line and keep
by date he's retired.
Pretty much keep everyone in line. He retired before I started.
Well, I'm above 5 foot, so technically wouldn't be Guy.
Guy. No one's Guy. Guy's very unique.
Yeah, he is, isn't
he? Ben's Nick with a brain.
It's true. Can you put on that accent for me?
What's his accent? I don't know what his accent is.
He's like from Jersey.
Jersey accent.
Hey, I'm walking here. Get the fuck out of here.
There you go. It sounds kind of like him.
She's pretty spot on.
So Chris has to be Brett Wilkin then.
Yeah, Brett. I reckon
you're the new guy.
Yeah, well, actually, that makes sense. Yeah.
There you go. You're the new guy.
Plastic into the open.
Yes.
Wait, after watching that their gather up one in person, there was an interesting question. The way they were all talking, like, was everyone what you expected them to be in person when you met them? And I was like,
that's a good one.
That was a good one. I was like, that's a good point, because they literally like from around the country and like Canada, where they've all done their videos together, I've never actually met up. And I was like, that's actually a pretty good question. And then they were just like, yeah, kinda. Like they didn't want to upset anyone. I was like,
yeah, but you could tell you could
in person.
This could get real personal real quick.
Ben, have you actually met Aaron in person?
Yeah.
Fucking unfortunately.
Okay.
Oh, fuck off. It was the best time of your life, you bitch.
He pulled at me. It was very classy. We drove into Dalton's engagement party, and then
was it just one time?
Yeah, he came up.
Yeah, it was the once, yeah.
That was like fucking 2 years ago. Dalton came up for.
So was he what you expected?
Scaffy or me?
I'll ask you both the same question.
So this fucking bearded looking dude.
Well, we didn't really talk much, I think, before then anyway, did we? It was just more so
through adult, I think.
Yeah, and it was just coming into the wedding and stuff, or the engagement party. That's when we.
Yeah.
But after that was kept talking and shit. And
yeah.
Dalt came down, stayed here with me at my place for one of those seminars. What was it? The JPS summit thing, where everyone came down. So. Yeah.
I have to ask you that same question, Ben, when you come down and you meet me in person. Play everything you thought I was going to be?
just going to come back
starry
and
eyes.
say, I'm just going to come back and say, you look like you should take the classic out of your division and just be physique.
Yeah.
Really hurt your ego a little bit.
Just so you just size him up. You're like, so bikini, yeah.
You're doing that men's wing
I'm doing
division.
fitness. The men's transformation section.
ICN, right? ICN.
Yeah.
Oh, the biggest pain, the biggest
No,
insult.
A and B.
PNBA, ICN, triple D.
Is that even still around, AMB?
It's still around, but it's just it's half natty.
Half natty. It's half natty.
It's fake natties.
Half natty.
You can take Anavar and Clan and T3, but that's it. Don't cross the line.
That's it. You cross that borderline, you're done.
Your morals are questionable.
You just can't inject. Any oral on the table, go nuts. You just can't inject.
Yeah, that question is just all like Big James Hollingshead just sitting there, just like, yeah, I think so. I think everyone's it'll be all right. Yeah,
quite good at accents.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're probably gonna do the James Hollingshead bit better than something.
You sound more like James than James does himself.
Yeah. It's like, you know, when you watch was it Straight Outta Compton and you see Ice Cube's son and you're like, he's more Ice Cube than Ice Cube. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Yeah, you're like, wait, that's Ice Cube. That's the original for sure.
Wait, I was jealous of that. The dude who played Dre got to hang out with Dre. Dre's like, all right, if you're doing me, we're not fucking around. And he like come in, like guided him and watched over him and shit. He's like, yeah, you can play me, but like we're not playing. And he got to hang out and spend time with Dre. I was like, that's
like
sick.
You gotta learn to date.
You gotta learn to date. I get that long dick.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Well, anyway, talking training fads, right? Or training
fads, training system.
My first one that comes to mind. What do you got? Either
keto. No, I'm kidding.
That's where you do keto again.
I just hear fad in my brain automatically. So says, keto. Nah. What do we got? We got HI. Go.
My first go-to is just always hit.
Because high intensity
are we talking
training
hit from Dorian Yates? Or are we talking?
No, we're talking people that think hit is the hit they do at F45 as they do a 45-second session and then talk for 35 minutes and then say that pushed their heart rate to extremes of like complete intensity and that they could repeat that 6 days a week and not die.
Yeah. Whereas people don't really understand that like high intensity interval training is like bouts of like 10 to 15 second exercises.
It's actually hard.
Because when we look at ATP production as well, right? It only lasts like 10 to 15 seconds kind of max. It's very rare that it gets over. And then we move into lactic like acid thresholds. And then we move into more aerobic. So it's just that capacity of the aerobic system to replace ATP, right? In between sets. It's like looking at, I don't know if anyone, listening, if you've ever done a Wingate, man, I don't know. Did you do them uni, Chris?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Like I feel like exercise science, I say you wouldn't have done them, Ben, because you do psych, but exercise science, it's notorious for doing Wingates.
And have to do it. I believe the protocol was something like 20 or 30 seconds all out sprint, followed by like a 40-second active recovery
pedal, and then you go again.
Like 5 to 10 times.
Oh, Dolt's done that for me. I had like, it was like for metabolic flexibility, including 2-week interval programs where it was like 3 times a week doing 20 on, 40 off, but the 20 on is like spew.
You're lucky to get like
it's like all out intensity. Yeah, if you look at these people in these classes that think they're doing HIIT, they're just cruising. They're not even like working hard. They can do if you can do that activity for like 2 minutes plus, that's not high intensity interval, and you've gone out of that phosphocreatine energy system into more of a aerobic kind of energy system as opposed to So what people actually think they're doing, they're not doing.
Exactly right. It's just understanding that the actual intensity required is pretty fucking high, and you're not going to be lasting very long. Kind of like bed in the bedroom.
Oh no, it's exactly like bed in the bedroom. Kind of like it's kind of business.
The perfect example. We're here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, I am the peak of ATP threshold for 15 seconds. Anything more than that, you're wasting my calories.
Hamstring cramps and shit. But yeah, it's just like. And it's the same thing, I guess, when we look at it, take away the whole fad part, when we look at actual training in the gym, whether it be, strength training, hypertrophy, whatever it is. When people say like they train hard, it's like, do you though? Like, what's your gauge or what's your measure of, I guess, hard, right? Yeah. It's like, and then we could, break into the whole RIR, RP or whatever it is. But even so, you can make it much more simple than that and look at like literally rep cadence. It's very rare you find a person that doesn't slow down as they get closer to fatigue.
Except for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say someone like Chris, where you need to know and train with him to understand where his drop-off point is very fast. It's like, 5 reps in reserve and then none. Like it's insane. Like I don't think I've ever trained with anyone that's like that. Like myself, you can see my reps. Like I'll post a video tonight and you'll see my hack squats, they die off. Like the speed dies off.
Yeah.
And as that speed dies off, that's when we're starting, they're those effective reps, effectively. I mean, really, like looking at that proximity to failure, because as that speed decreases, you're lucky to get 2, 3, pushing 4 maybe reps. And what do we know by, sort of the science that we all talk about, like 4 reps shy of failure is probably like, the minimum you'd need for some form of adaptation.
That's what we were talking about today when we were like, after you'd got off the hack and you were like, oh, yeah, probably actually that was about 1 RIR. But what people realize, they go into a set thinking, I'm going to train to a 2 to 3 RIR or 2 or 3 reps in reserve. They get to that point and they've actually sandbagged it. They probably have like 5 or 6. You need to train with the mindset that it's like, that's a gun to your head RIR, not just like, I'm just going to kind of work hard and train to a 2, 3 RIR and then kind of stop. It needs to be really, really, really difficult, which is why it's also I think it's a really good indicator to kind of track performance along with it, because that way it kind of keeps you honest. Like a lot of times people will just go in. I think there's I can't remember the study off the top of my head, but there was that research paper they did where they basically found that, most people, but the difference between them putting them on like a set of I think it was leg extensions and taking it to absolute failure versus to what they perceive to be like a 2 to 3 RIR. And it was more like 5, 6, 7 reps and 10 reps in some cases,
Yeah. And you can do it with a friend in the gym, which is always fun as well, man. Like honestly, go grab your training partner or one of your friends, get in the gym, jump on a leg extension, let's make it safe, and say, hey, here's a weight, do as many reps as you can. You tell me when you think you have 2 reps left. Don't use RPE because I will shoot you. It's an RIR. So tell me when you have 2 reps left. And then you, as the person watching or observing, push them. Be like, okay, go again. Get another one. Go again. And you'll probably find, 9 times out of 10, they'll get 3, 4, 5 more reps. And you're like, it's just pain. It's okay. Like you will be okay. I promise.
Yeah.
But again, it takes time and practice as well, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing too, is like these group training systems are also inviting based on like the social circumstances or like the community aspect to it. So many of them go there not with the intent of doing absolute intensity. It's like, I can train and also talk to my friend and hang out, chat for a bit. We'll have a socialize before and after. So you get like this whole like, I do HIIT. It's like, yeah, you do it a HIIT based concept. Like you're maybe in the ballpark, but your actual personal degree of training is not HIIT. Like the system that it's laid out at might quantify slightly as HIIT, but the execution of you and that personalized aspect of your training, probably not HIIT. And it's like, that one's like it's just another one of those throwaway terms that people just grabbed a hold of and just gone, HIIT. I do keto, but also have like 100 grams of carbs. I do HIIT, but I also stop and talk between sets for fucking 4 minutes. I was like,
I was going to say, I feel like Tabata is a better indication of more HIIT training than actual HIIT itself. If you look at most places that
pretty
supply,
deadly.
Supply HIIT, because it's literally 20 seconds on and it's like go balls to wall for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like that's effectively like, your anaerobic threshold. Like, there we go. That's HIIT. That's as high intensity as you can. If you can get through, a 4-minute period of Tabata, you've done well.
Tabata split squats, holy shit, you die.
Oh yeah, fuck that.
That's horrible.
Couldn't think of anything fucking worse.
I actually did a bit of Tabata back in the very first contest prep that I did, that me and Dean did like 2-3 years ago, just because at the time the weather was fucking terrible. And I didn't have like any means to do I got a bike in the background that you can see now, but I didn't have anything like that. So the only option I had was like a little Tabata session in my apartment as a means of increasing our energy expenditure, because I couldn't actually go outside and do cardio. So it killed, like absolutely killed. Yeah. Like you're like, yeah. By the end of it, like it's crazy. Yeah,
but actually, like there, like you have to set your personal, I guess, morals, integrity that you're going to stick to those timeframes too. Like it comes down to your execution that you're going to do it. Like it's easy to say I'm doing Tabata, it's easy to say I'm doing HIIT, but if you're not abiding by the rules that govern that concept, well, then you're just sort of moving.
Yeah, right. And it's kind of like, if you need to modify them based on where your status is in terms of your cardiovascular health and all that, that's fine. Just don't call it, Tabata or, high intensity interval training. Just call it interval training. Pretty straightforward. Like you don't have to call it high intensity. It may be high intensity to you, but it's
how are they going to feel hardcore if you take away that from them?
Well, I mean, I feel like interval training still, I don't know, back in the day when I was doing
But it's
shit
not
like
high
that,
intensity, so they're not hardcore anymore. It's basically
mate,
It's just
hey,
it's
if
just
it's
it.
if,
just
if it got results, who fucking cares?
But if you want real results, lift weights in a progressive fashion.
We'll call it the elite strength interval training systems. There you go.
You can see that coming. They're coming to a screen near you, folks.
Yeah, coming to a gym near you.
Not saying Scaffy just wants your money for no reason, but
I mean, literally, that's all I want it for, for no reason. I'm just gonna write it down on a piece of
let's
paper.
see what I can get away with. These people will pay for.
Pretty much.
What's another training fad we got? Interesting.
I mean, it's like
a lot of the
it's
times these training fads are more just like, it's like they'll just go to like somewhere like an F45 or something like that, and which we harped on quite extensively last week. And they'll just do something like that. It's not like, I feel like they go out with good intentions to like want to do something that's going to be effective, but then it just really isn't.
But how many fads are like that though? Like even when we were talking about food last week, I'm sure, and I don't ever attack it in a disrespectful way to people, but I'm sure most people when they start out like a keto or like as a coach, they're encouraging some sort of meal plan. Their intentions are great, and what they're meaning to execute may be good. Unless you're like Herbalife or something like that, in which case, fucking don't talk to me. But like most coaches, you're probably in that ballpark.
But Ben, you have a little bit of time to talk about.
that Remember me from high school? I have a great opportunity.
If it's not Herbalife, it's isogenics.
Isogenics, that's it. Yeah, isogenics. Do you want to spend $700 a week?
Do you want to be your own boss?
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's a multi-tiered funnel system.
It's a
it's funny, like
scheme.
when we look at training fads, I mean, are we including, all those things when you said there's info commercials and they do like
shake away.
Well, but do you remember the belt?
AbCircle Pro. AbCircle Pro.
Yeah, but do you remember the belt where you'd sit on like back in this belt and it'd vibrate? And it's like my mum had one. As a kid, that shit was the best. It was like the best back massage I'll ever get. But and it was supposed to be this thing that's supposed to like help you move fat.
Stand on it, and it goes like. The rationale they gave was like it's supposed to vibrate the fat off.
That's what this was. And then they had the electric ones where they like basically make your muscles contract, so you put it on your abs and it gives you abs. It sends like an electrical shock to your abs and your abs crunch, and it's supposed to be like the equivalent of like 1,000 crunches or something.
Fuck yes, I don't know. I can fucking do crunches without doing crunches.
For me, I feel like those were the fads back in the day. I feel like now it's not so much. I mean, I guess in the circles we probably double in. It's not so much fads. It's more so just incorrect information. Like it's not.
Like you said, actually, that brings me to another point that I think was important with that post that you did not long ago with a chick that was changing the feet angle on the leg extension.
What was that against Gaffy? I can't remember. Did you want to go into that real quick?
I feel like it's more like that. It's not like they're going out and doing something completely different. It's they'll see something that an influencer's done on Instagram and they'll try and replicate it into their own program.
Yeah, exactly right. That's where it's sort of like that misinformation type thing. Like it's not a fad per se, but it's kind of like, well, you can't do these things. It's like you can get away with it because you're going to hurt some people. But it's funny because I did get a question yesterday, actually, literally on Instagram. Someone had messaged about training. Like he's got a PT. He pretty much was like, well, his PT changes his program every 4 weeks. And I'm kind of like, why? Why? Have you asked him why? I'm actually trying to find the question, to be honest, Tom, because he asked me a programming question.
I suppose my question there in terms of like is it changing the entire program, or is it just manipulating rep ranges, manipulating like, other variables within the programming setup as opposed to completely new program, like, with different volume landmarks, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So it's pretty much I asked my trainer why we don't keep the program for longer than 4 weeks as he changes it. He said that because you will plateau with that time. So I guess these are the sorts of things like, they're not fads. They're just incorrect information. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it was like a long ass conversation on Instagram about it and trying to, I couldn't obviously even explain or begin to explain because, what we're like when we go into deep dives with this stuff. But, that's the sort of information people are getting. So it's kind of like, that's the shit we need to like, sort of get rid of in this industry because that's what fucks everyone.
Well, it's kind of like a good benefit as to why we exist, right? Like although we talk a lot of shit on here, it's a good chance for us to actually correct and either re-inform or re-educate misinformed people because they either don't know where to look or potentially haven't seen other things. So all they know is like, oh, the guy with the certificate that's training in the gym told me to do this. So that's all I know that I should do. Like not everyone has the, I guess, the interest to go out and explore information like we may. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a good reason for us to even do this as a concept, because to dive into plateauing after 4 weeks is just going to hurt me.
Yeah. I mean, is it something we should just jump into or not really?
Yeah, I think we should let's just dive into it.
Cool.
So,
So basically what we can do is we'll talk about like why you shouldn't change your program so friggin' often. Like provided it's a good program that's written either by yourself, if you have the competence to write it, or by somebody that actually has half a clue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I know myself and Chris, like when we trained, we'll do 6 to 8 week sort of cycles. However, we probably only change 1 or 2 exercises on each day. Like it's very rare that we change one, and they're usually accessory exercises. So we might change a bicep curl or a delt, like a lateral raise or something like that. We'll just use a different variation, unless new toys come in like today, and then we completely throw our program out the door. No, I'm kidding. These things where, why do you feel like you're going to plateau in 4 weeks?
What may happen is they go super aggressive with like whatever progression scheme they've gotten to, and maybe they've accumulated a significant amount of fatigue, but rather than deloading, they just go into an entire new program and reset again. That's kind of what they're doing. But
even in that instance, I find that new guys, in newbies, I dislike the idea of completely preempting deloads when they're really new, because they're so full of motivation, energy, focus that they're getting results. And potentially not track like the first few weeks.
They're not strong enough to even warrant a deal.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to. Is like for a couple of my clients, just being so new to programming and progressively overloading their system, they haven't even reached that level of intensity. Whereas like, okay, you
have the ability to push to that level of RIR.
Yeah, you haven't trained that hard yet that we need a deload. We can probably still keep learning to tweak your intensity and find your upper limits before we even get there. We might get 2 or 3 mesos before I'm like, right, let's actually look at a deload, because they just haven't quite got there yet. So why limit the motivation and the drive if they're getting results with it already and we're learning? Like it's just not probably necessary. So even in that case, it's like 4 weeks is a bit short for me.
Yeah, that too. But then there's also like, okay, in a 4 week period or a 4 week paradigm, let's say, like what is your progression scheme? Because we have different ways to progress. Like you don't need to progress every single week, believe it or not. Like I know that's sort of the goal for those intermediate to advanced guys like ourselves, where we want to try and push the book every week. That's kind of what we do because we train like spastics.
This is a good example actually, as that we can talk about in our own training, which was like a couple of movements that we actually reset. And people will be like, oh no, well you've dropped off 10 kilos on a lift. But what we did was we went back and just kind of reset that movement and make sure, because our form was getting a little bit.
Yeah, we standardized that technique a lot better instead of chasing the number on the logbook, and we can progress on other lifts. But when we look at progression, we have like skill, like we can progress the skill. Again, depending on how new you are to the program or how new you are to training, that's probably the better way to go. If you're a newbie, if you're intermediate to advanced, it's not always the best way to go. But again, context dependent. We can increase reps. Like intrasets, we can increase the reps. You get 1 more rep each week at the same weight. That is progression, because it's a total volume progression. We can increase, if we really wanted, you can increase sets depending on, I guess what camp you're in. Some people like to increase sets, some people don't, but it is a way. For
beginners, I'm not a massive fan of increasing sets.
No, and that's fair. That's what I'm saying. It's always
undercook their effort. So I think that it's always important, especially for beginners or even into intermediates. I'm not a massive fan of aggressive set progressions, because
and that's fair.
Be able to take those sets within that relative RIR that's going to be the hypertrophy zone.
That's just it as well. We look at the RIR, and if we're looking at 4 RIR, if you do that for the first week and you get to 1 RIR, failure effectively on the 4th week, take a deload and you can start again. And all you do is you start with a higher weight than you did in the first week. It's really, you can run that for 6 months. You don't have to change the program.
1 or 2, all you could just change a rep range. You could change a grip position. You could change minimalistic thing. Whole program exactly right.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of PTs, even like, I was one of these guys as well back in the day as a coach. I'd change, certain exercises every 4 to 6 weeks, because also I wanted to retain the client, right? I didn't want the client thinking, fuck, he's not doing anything for me. Like, he's just going to keep repeating the program. And now when I get clients and they I preface it, I'm like, look, we're probably going to run this program for a good 12 to 16 weeks. Like, we're just going to tinker with it. We're going to play with it. We're going to try and work out, better volume progressions and what it is, or intensity progressions or effort progressions, like what we can do and where we can place this so we can get the best out of this program. Because also at the same time, if you're an experienced coach who has, 30 plus clients, you don't want to write 30 fucking programs every 4 weeks. Like, and there's only so many exercises that exist that you can write for, like, per client. So it's managing these things and, making the client understand that, hey, you're still going to progress. It's just, we're going to use this program as well as your nutrition, as well as your recovery to hit those markers.
Yeah. Like I enjoy, like, the fact one of my guys, we're into, I think, the second week of like second meso. The first one, he played around with like increasing strength, but he also played around with, like, he wanted to try how it felt in different rep ranges. So, like, could I get this weight at, say, 10 to 12s as opposed to 8 to 10s? And I gave him a range of, say, 8 to 12. Let's try and see how we go with this. Now, before we look at completely progressing everything, I want to make sure that you're standardizing the rep, controlling tempo, breathing properly. Got all those things right. Turned out the weight he was doing once those things all, like, standardized, wasn't going to get as many reps as he thought. So then we're like, all right, cool. Let's get those things in place first. Find that rep range that you work in that's going to get the best out of that. And then we'll increase strength or we increase reps. And now he's going through these weeks where he's never felt this strong before. It's such a high volume of rep range and doing, like, all these cool, like, progressions out of it. But that first meso was, like, getting him to understand slowing down, controlling tempo, standardizing the rep, understanding how we wanted to progress. So now I'll probably run this program with him until the end of the year and we finish off this block and then look at changing something. I think he wants to go into a bit of a cut for the new year and strip back for footy. So we'll go into that and look at that being the start of next year. But I'm probably not going to change Sweet F all from here until the end of the year because it just doesn't need to. He's getting all the progression markers we want. Sleep's great, stress is great, or stress is low. Training recovery seems to be up. His intensity is getting better and better because he's controlling the tempo and increasing lifts. So, like, there's just no need to go, all right, we spent 4 weeks learning this and getting these movement patterns right. Better change everything.
Pretty much. Like, I don't see why a need to change.
I much prefer like an auto-regulated approach. So the mesocycles, reactive. So the mesocycles will go as long as the client's recovery capacity allows. Mm-hmm. So that could be 6 weeks, that could be 4 weeks, depending on if they're really advanced. It may be a lot shorter, and depending if we're running like a really aggressive set accumulation model, but it may be 8 weeks, 10 weeks sometimes. Heck, I'll try and run these programs as long as possible because that's where the real progress is made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the old school idea. It still seems to exist of, like, you've got to shock the body or shock the system and do like 30 different exercises in a workout. And, like, I guess that's one of the fads, is it still goes around, is that people still think they've got to shock something or they've got to, like, mix it up every other week and just train to feel. And it's like, yeah, I mean, like, great, you're training to intensity to a degree and you're adding in 40 different exercises, but what if we're just cutting back, like cut back and, like, get you to start standardizing structure and things? Like, we don't need to shock the system. We need to overload it.
Well, there's always that volume intensity bell curve or inverted U. And when you get to the top end, you just keep adding shit. The stimulus response is just nowhere near as good as the middle of the bell curve. So I really love, I think it's a quote from Eric Helms, which is like, if you can progress, but there's nothing wrong with just staying in that middle of the range bell curve and just letting the progressions come to you.
Yeah. Exactly right. It's a time thing, and it's always going to be a time thing. There's no rush. So changing it in such a short time span, 4 weeks, is it's not really doing much for you. I mean, unless you're going balls to wall failure every week, then you may need to deal with it.
A lot of these guys, they aren't. They don't actually know what failure feels like. They think they do. No.
But what are you looking to change, or what are you looking to accumulate or grow in 4 weeks? Like,
I think you hit the nail on the head just before, where you said that that's not actually what they're doing. It's just they want to retain the client. So they think they need to give them a novel experience. So
legit.
It's not fun anymore. Hard progression with good training and progressive overload isn't fun.
Yeah, but you got to remember, it's boring, and people don't like boring.
Well, like, I'm sure at some point we've all made a post on it where, like, progressive overload isn't sexy. Doesn't matter how you dress it up. Standardized programming and progressive overload just isn't sexy, because you're going to run the same exercises and the same novel routines and executing the same movement patterns day in, day out. But that's where success is found. It's the monotony of the routine. But people just, like, those random coaches online who just want to make sure they keep tricking everyone and getting more and more clients through more money, is every 4 weeks doing this, or like every 2 weeks. Oh, you didn't enjoy it this week? Cool, we'll change it up, mix it up, see how you feel. Like, nah, dog, like, whatever you think you're getting in 2 weeks, you're not. You're wasting money. You're losing, like, you're spending too much money for something. You're not going to get anything out of it. There's literally not zero, but the cumulative development you think you're going to get muscularly on your physique in 4 weeks, fuck, you are going to need to run.
At the point that you actually start making some good progress, they changed the program.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Like,
It takes you 4
I'm
weeks
getting
to figure out
momentum.
your fucking program. So yeah, it takes you like a solid
sweep the rug out from this guy's feet.
Yeah, it takes a solid 2 to 3 weeks, if not 4 weeks, to figure out your fucking program. And it's just like, all right, I've got the right markers now. All right, I'm ready to go. Oh, okay, program change.
Like by week
Wait,
3,
what?
that's like the strongest week. You know, it's when you're
Yeah.
near peak acclimation in that mesocycle, and then you can actually look to really drive progression hard and take that RIR closer to failure in those final weeks. So it's almost like you're deloading, or you're not even deloading, you're just changing the program just as you've neurologically adapted to these previous movements, just as you acclimated to that amount of volume, and then you change it. So it's not worth it.
And you guys start all over again and try and work it out. You get no progression in the first 2 weeks. Your third week, you're there. You're like, yes, progress, and then program change.
I guess another fad on top of that then is guys coming in and sort of training to feel like their session each week. Like,
oh yeah,
well, we can deep dive on this one.
Like, I'm like, here's the thing that gets me. I see it from a perspective of guys, but anyone in general that simply looks at exercise as a means for like mental health or just being in somewhere where they're just doing something positive. We're not going to attack that. I'm not going to attack you for that. That's great if that's what you want to do. And so you come in and just like, you know what, I want to feel a leg extension. I want to feel a lunge.
Yeah, but we're not talking about those people either right now, right?
I think we're talking specifically about people that want to make progress.
Yeah, like those that have a specific goal, and is why they're going to the gym, right?
It's like a specific body comp goal. Like we're not talking about it. I think listeners know we're not talking about.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. So for me, that whole like novice stimulus you're going to get from each session being completely different and arbitrarily made up on the spot blows my mind, because like, yeah, we've all done it, I guess, to a degree. Like some point we've all kind of done it, but I still think like even me back in the day, my earliest high school programming was still like degrees of intensity for rugby because we had league as a program. So we were getting like strength days, muscle specific days, like sets of 3 sets of 10 to 12 within this sort of like strength target. So we're still getting some form of programming, but like a lot of these guys are coming in just sort of like fucking winging it. Even like we said the other week where Nick Walker said doesn't record his training, and Regan Grimes was training with Milos and just made up these random like triple super giant hack intensity sets that are just like, why? What are you getting out of that?
Well, the thing is also, you look at them, they didn't do that to get to where they are. They're doing that
exactly
now,
right. Yeah.
When they are where they are, there's a difference.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sure
think
if
what's
you
overlooked as well is they've been training for 10, 20 years, you know, so it's not like any new exercise is really that new for them. You know, it's like if they change from a dumbbell press to a machine press, it's still the same muscle action. So it's not like it's a completely new exercise altogether that they need to neurologically adapt to. For someone else, it's a beginner, you know, where they're still not even getting the hang of a free weight dumbbell press and they just want to change the exercise up here, change it up there. They're not going to make any progress doing that. But for like a Nick Walker, someone that is clearly using, you know, anabolics and stuff like that as well.
Is he? I thought it was natty.
I thought it was natty as well.
Don't say that. IFBB are completely natural, bro.
I thought Nick was an ICN pro.
I thought he was bikini. No.
You look at any top tier natural, they all train a very certain way because they've only got 2 variables really to play with, which is their training and their nutrition, right? So the main things with their training, the blocks are 6 to 8 weeks, generally longer, as long as they can handle. And the exercise selection very minimally changes. They keep that exercise selection the same, and they don't do more volume than they can recover from and just take their progressions each week. That's how they make progress for a very, very, very long period of time. Looking at their training progress over their training career versus looking at it over this next 4 weeks. I'm going to make so much progress over this next 4 weeks. You're not. My
favorite.
You know?
My favorite is JP. He said it best. He got asked how often he changes his programs. He's like, I'll run the same exercises for 6 months as long as I can keep progressing. He goes, if I can add 1 pound each session, he goes, I'll continue to run it. He goes, I just won't change it. So, you know, he goes, if I can run a pound a week, that's 52 pounds in a year, I'm doing pretty good. It's like, well, I can't argue the logic. It's like, yeah, fair.
Like my program at the moment, completely stripped back my hack squats, my squat patterns, my close foot Smith machine squats, everything, so that now I can progress forward. And I only did, I think, my hack squats this week had an increase of like 5%. I went up to like 125. I was at I did 120 week before. But conversely, coming back from my tendinopathy, I started at 10 kilos a side. So it's taken me a very, very, very long time and humbling experience to go from what used to be like 5-6 plates aside and aggressively push them out to now standardizing my form, reducing, like I don't have knee pain anymore, or to the degree I did, and getting stronger and executing the movement. It's taking 6-8 months of standardizing that movement and getting better at that movement to only increase to 125 kilos. But fuck me, those reps hurt.
Yeah, well, and also remember, when we're talking about training for feel, we know that feel isn't an effective marker of a hypertrophic response, right? Like that's another thing that we need to consider, in that because you do a leg extension and you feel your quads burn, that doesn't mean, depending on the load that you're using, you could use one plate and do 50 reps and you're going to feel your quads burn. Yeah, but does it mean that it's been effective in the goal that you're trying to chase, whether that be, muscle building or helping, with output? Probably not, because it's just so light. Like it needs to be a weight and an exercise that will take you to that, close to failure, right? And it needs to be effective in that aspect. So just because you feel something working doesn't mean it's doing what you want it to do. It's still not a
drastic example of that is like, I've seen a couple of guys in the gym just doing body weight standing calf raises with no load, nothing. Yeah, they're doing like 100 reps.
Yeah.
And they just never get anywhere because they're missing the key component, which is mechanical, like increasing mechanical tension week after week. If volume was the sole driver of hypertrophy, I could just do this with my bicep, with my pen, and my biceps would grow. But we know they're not going to.
Yeah. So, using feel, while might be good in that, if you're feeling the target muscle work, good. But don't think that that's also giving you the response that you want, because like, as Chris said, you could do, enough bicep curls with a pen. You're going to feel your bicep work. Like it's just a matter of time, right? A matter of reps.
The problem with those higher rep ranges as well, especially for newbies, is that, like we touched on before, there's no best rep range for hypertrophy. We know anywhere from, 4 all the way up to 30 repetitions is going to be effective of hypertrophy. However, those reps that typically like are above 15, that's when you start to have to battle with like that lactate accumulation. So you find that, those repetitions or RIR that you perceive to be like 1 or 2, maybe way further away because you just stopped because of the lactate accumulation, not that you actually reach close to muscular failure. So I think that's another important thing for those things to kind of grasp there as well, is although you've done a set of 30, how close did you actually effectively take that set to failure?
Yeah. Yeah, you were fatigued before the muscle actually reached a degree of stimulus that was going to grow anything.
Well, yeah, because then you have 2 types of failure, right? You have task action failure as well as then actual muscular failure. So they're 2 different things. If you really want to get into failure talk, like it's, did the muscle fail or did your technique and mechanics fail? Like which one failed first?
Then at the same time, I think it was Mike O'Hearn made an argument because he was talking about how hard he trains to heavy all the time, no matter what. It's always like,
eggs, bro.
Hey,
that's his fountain of youth, the duck eggs.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. And it was something along the lines of like, I'll prefer to do, like, you look at guys who track. It was having a dig at tracking and data and that sort of shit. And it was like, you look at the intensity that I lift a 300 kilo deadlift at versus you doing like 100 kilo deadlift or something like that. And it's having to go at guys who just lift heavy, like lift light and do like large amounts of reps. And I was like, that isn't quite the argument, because no one's really coming in going, you know what, I'm going to do 50 reps today at 20 kilos. Like that's what I'm going to do on my deadlift. And he's doing like a 300 kilo deadlift, whatever it is. You still have to consider like, that degree of training intensity is great. And this is where we're going to get into like the whole intensity versus volume thing, but also 3 reps or 6 reps at 100 kilos is going to outdo his 1 rep at 300, but the intensity difference, obviously he's training harder, but then you're getting guys who are like, they're still getting a decent degree of intensity because they're doing, let's say 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 reps at 100 kilos versus his 1 rep top set at fucking 300.
Yeah, that's provided, the proximity to failure is the same, or give or take. So the proximity to failure when it comes to building muscle is probably I'd say it's probably the most important thing, right? I just have to think about what else could be. So,
well, the closer you get, the higher degree of motor unit recruitment, higher degree of muscle.
Exactly right. And you can't recruit those units without getting close to fucking failure. It's pretty straightforward. So, yeah, like, 1 rep at 300, though we know 1RMs do not recruit maximal fiber, which is another thing that people forget. It's kind of like, that's why powerlifters, like when the reason why like a powerlifting meet, they have 3 attempts at each. So they're going to recruit, X amount on their first attempt because it's close to failure. Then, they get a bit closer to failure on their second attempt. They recruit a little bit more. And then on the third attempt, it's bust. So it's either they do really well, recruited maximally, you see that grindy rep and you're like, yeah, blood out of the nose, eyes popping out. Perfect. Like you couldn't recruit anymore. or they buckle because they've already done that. And they've also run the risk of fatigue catching up. So that's the other side of fiber recruitment. Like motor unit recruitment, you also risk, or you have to balance it out with the amount of fatigue that accumulates at the same time. It's such a fine line. So yeah, like you could do 1 rep at 300, cool. But I'm probably going to go do those 6 to 8 reps with a very similar effort level, being closer to failure, whether it be 1 to 2 reps shy, and get a better stimulus. And then on the adverse to that, I wouldn't do deadlifts for anything because I don't do shit. But
you know what else you'll be able to do? You'll probably be able to do those deadlifts again much sooner.
Yes, the recovery from that is going to be a lot better. So, and that's the whole point, right? The idea is to recover, not get injured, so you can train again. Who would have thought not getting injured?
So that's why the mythical, 8 to 12 rep range is thought to be the hypertrophy rep range, because there's you recruit a decent amount of fatigue, but it's nowhere near what you'd get off a heavy set of 3s or 4s. You can get back in and go again decently quickly.
Yeah,
which allows for more progression. Which more progression over time, greater levels of mechanical tension, more muscle growth.
Exactly. More jacked and swole you get.
More jacked, swole, and unfortunately not tan you get, but more jacked and swole.
Unless you're Ben, who's got that magical tan looking on there.
That Queensland sun, mate. None of that cloudy Melbourne shit.
I was gonna say, isn't it pissing down raining?
Yeah, it's been pissing down raining like all week.
He's lying. He's just on
Millennium room or something.
No, he's lying. He's just on Melanotan.
The first 4 weeks of working from home, I just hit the sun, just sunny's on up on the roof, shirt off, just getting sun while I work. It's great. I was like, fucking this is brilliant. I'm just just maximizing this. And because I was like, the one thing I hated working at the store level was just always inside, missing sun. I just felt gloomy and stuck. So I was like, if I can get upstairs and on the roof in the sun for a job, fucking fantastic. And then this last week and a half, it's just been pissed down, gloomy rain. I was like, well, this tan is stagnated.
You nude up there? Were you
nude?
What? Were you nude? You doing these ones?
Yeah, there's surrounding sky rises, but I just give a show. I was like, hey guys. Hey, look at this. Wingmill. Hangman. Lassoing him in.
What else we got? I think we destroyed that. We really.
Yeah, I mean, training, I guess, because we didn't really dive into fads, because I mean, really, I think anything that's on an infomercial is probably deemed a fad, right?
Yeah.
So it's
anything on an infomercial, do not buy, do not waste your money. And then down the bottom, it'll also say, please use in conjunction with.
In conjunction with
when you purchase that, come also see us, because we'll have to be in conjunction with coaching anyway.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, unless the listeners have a training fad we didn't cover, they want us to touch on, feel free to throw it in the question box when we throw them up. Or I throw it up. But
what are some of the dumb infomercial ones, or the late night TVSN shit that used to go around back in the day, the shake weight, the vibrating machine, the Ab Circle Pro.
What was the Chuck Norris one? The sliding thing, or if you have a door, you have a gym.
Yes. Yeah. It's just a chin up machine. It's just a chin up bar.
Yeah, that was great.
And all those different crunch ones that were something you hold a bar above your head here, just pull yourself into a crunch.
The old school one.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess it's funny because I feel like those sorts of things will never go out. There'll always be something new that someone's going to try and sell.
Looking to get that quick fix,
There's that degree of ethical and moral salesmanship where we will never go there, but people are someone will try and capitalize on emotions and people's desire for fast-paced results. It's just inevitable. People just don't do it.
It's there was someone, I can't remember, Broderick referenced them, who said about when it came to supplements, there's always a new supplement coming out. And same thing with training, modalities and these fads. There's always something new coming out. If it's still around in 5 years, it's probably okay. If it's around in 10 years, you're good to go buy it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the same principle. Kind of which one of these things has been around for 5 to 10 years, right? None of them. The only reason why they're around is because we give them shit.
Honey Rembod's SSRT.
You know that? Have you seen that movie with Ben Stiller? How he's picks up the hitchhiker and gets in the car, and he's got I think he's got some sort of bag with him, and I think there's a body in it, and he's like, man, I got the perfect idea. It's abs in 7 minutes. And then Ben Stiller's driving the car, and he's like, what if someone get abs in 6 minutes? He's like, man, you can't get abs in 6 minutes. And then he's got a fucking body in the bag in the back, and shit's gold. I don't know what movie it is. I
don't think I've seen it. I feel like I've seen a lot of Ben Stiller movies. I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, it's fucking gold. Man, you can't get out 6 minutes. That'd be ridiculous.
Isn't there a guy on YouTube who claims that abs in 7 minutes or something? There's
Was it Mike Chang? Is that Mike Chang?
Mike Chang or Johnny Abs or some shit. It's
Johnny
like literally,
Abs,
it's in his name or something. Like it's literally his videos used to come up as like get abs in fucking 7 minutes or something like that. And I was
I think he probably made a boatload of cash in that short little time that he was.
That's it. Took off.
Top.
Yeah.
All you need now is set for life. Why the
Exactly
fuck
right.
are we coaching people properly when we can sell fats?
yes. Just include an NFT in my program. Look, there's a Matter NFT coming, guys. If you sign up, you get one. That's all I'm saying.
But you know, you do that, you'll probably take off, bro.
It's just me with a mustache and different different ornaments on me.
It's just your little emoji. Oh no, your emoji. What is it? Your little caricature.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what you get. Yes, it's $10,000 per NFT. Coaching is worth $9,970. You just pay for $30 NFT.
That's it. Done and done.
It'll obviously increase in value over time because it's me, and so that's going to go up in value.
Shit, that's what you think.
Negative 10 grand. They actually go into they go bankrupt.
Should we get into some questions? I feel like we've nailed that one pretty fucking hard.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be left. There's not going to be much left in the science world of training nutrition that we haven't attacked by some point. Like it's just going to be people trying to find nuances at a certain degree. It's going to be like, all right, what can you guys attack personally at this point?
Well, I guess since we're still on the training sort of stuff, let's do a training question because it's a pretty good one.
Okay.
Favorite trio of tricep exercises for optimizing growth of all three heads and why? It's a good one. I like it. So I feel like there's not one exercise, not one tricep exercise that really hits like all three heads of the tricep, at once efficiently, right? Usually one's taking over more than the other. That's just how it is. Usually it's the long head that takes over most of the stuff. So, I do quite enjoy an overhead tricep extension with a cable, provided you line the cable up with your ability of your range of motion of the shoulder. And I think that's where a lot of people fuck it up. So it's like a lot of people will put the cable, directly in line with their spine, for example, and they'll try and put their head here and they'll put their hand here, drop their head here. And for those that are listening, you got to watch the YouTube for my demonstrations, grabbing the cable and they're trying to go up and they're, throwing their whole body into it and all that sort of stuff. When in theory, all they have to do is bring the shoulder to sort of here, have the cable run on a 45-degree angle, and then literally just go out here and do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I think I've got my three.
Go on.
Crossbody cable extension.
Yes, very fun.
Long rope overhead tricep extension.
Talking about.
Takes that issue out that Aaron was talking about for most people.
Mm-hmm.
And some variation of a dip, whether it be body weight or machine.
Yeah, like a press, a tricep press of some sort. Yeah, because we know that, pressing and then also extension of the tricep is going to be most beneficial in hitting all three heads.
That's my three.
Yeah.
I like those three, but I also find it comes down to joint pain, especially through high degrees of elbow movement. Because I love fucking skull crushes, but different variations.
Skull crushes. That's why I didn't have them in there.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I fucking love them. I've done different variations of Smith machine skull crushes, laying skull crushes, dumbbell skull crushes, fucking 45-degree skull crushes. But if you have any degree of fucking elbow inflammation, especially through extension, it fucking sucks. You can load the shit out of them. You can press, you can extend fucking hard. You can go isolate with dumbbells and go heavy. But it's just, if your elbows can't tolerate it, then there's just no chance of getting effective sets.
That's why you need to move to cables.
Yeah. Well, yeah. To that degree.
Honestly, 90% of my direct tricep work is on cables, whether it's a single arm cuff push down, whether it's a rope push down, whether it's a long rope overhead extension, single arm overhead cable. That I would say they're most of my favorite.
All
cables
day, every day. I do a whole workout on a cable sack. Just easy. Such a nice line. Worst advice you've ever received in the fitness industry?
Oh, fuck. This is a whole episode, isn't it?
Yeah, starting. Oh, actually, sorry. In the fitness industry, starting out. So I guess. I think what advice did I get? It was really bad when I first started. Oh, I mean, not when I first started, but when I first signed up with a particular gym that was very heavy on Mr. Charles Poliquin. And, the nutritional practices, not so much the training practices. I like the training practices. Obviously, he's one of the GOATs when it comes to strength training, but His nutritional practices were a little bit shit. That's probably the best way to put it, all respect to Mr. Polican.
As polite as I can be. Fuck you.
Yeah, like what was it, like half a gram or a gram of fish oil per kilo of body weight or some bullshit? You're just like, it's a lot. Yeah,
Is that all?
It was. Yeah, it's just take it with my coffee.
These are injectable oils, right?
Pretty much. You're basically drinking one of those actual like fish oil jars, containers. It just I didn't do that. I'm just saying. It was
I don't mind, actually. You know what? The fact that you will need a mass gainer to grow muscle.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah. Can say, guys.
Yeah. All I got was fucking fat.
Yeah. Yep. The amount of times I have to explain to people that it's just an accumulated, easy consumable liquid calorie. That's all it is. Yeah. The degree of intensity just determines how quickly you're gonna get those calories in.
Actually,
I can add on to that point as well. Not just the mass gainer, but also how much body fat you need to put on in terms of like the dreamer bulk. Because I've done that before as well. That will change your physique. It'll be the best thing you'll ever do. Yeah, and I just got fat.
Yeah, I think my favorite two were like the dirty bulk.
Oh yeah,
and you need fat burners to lose fat. They were the best. Like they were the bomb. You go to any nutritional fucking store at the time, they'd try and sell you everything. And because you're young, dumb, and fucking naive, you buy everything. You buy the mass gainer, you buy the pre-workout, you buy the fat burner, and you have a fat burner and a mass gainer at the same time. It makes no sense.
You want to grow but not put on fat.
But you're still doing it because you got told to do it by the huge guy that works behind the desk. And man, those were the days.
And also stringers. I don't need to say anything more on that.
I never wore one. I wasn't that guy.
I was that guy. You're not that guy.
100%.
We've all been that guy.
100%. I swear to God, I've never worn a stringer training ever. I will refuse to wear it.
Yeah, that's because I started training when I was like 15. So
yeah, that's fair.
Oh, worst advice. Worst advice.
Those who still wear stringers, you look like a tool.
Unless you're really, really jacked, then you just look a little bit like a tool, not a very big tool.
No one's going to fuck with a guy that's like 120 kilos wearing a string.
Yeah, 120 kilos.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like,
it's muscle. Sorry, I preface that. It's like, unless you have extreme levels of muscle mass, stringers will not look good on you. If you're like 60, 70 kilo, 80 kilos, maybe, and you've just got some abs, stringer's not going to look good on you.
Yeah, just it hangs on you and like nipples are poking out. Like, nah, bro.
No one wants to see
generally, they're doing more posing than they are training anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, and then there'll be the same guys that'll be hitting like a most muscular in the mirror, and you can like see their nipples fucking hanging out through the stringer and shit. It just doesn't look good. So don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy. Learn from us. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that dude.
Worst advice. Fuck, there's just so much.
Come on, Ben. I've given you like 3.
Yeah, we've been reeling them off. Come on.
Yeah, well, there's just so fucking many.
We just need one, bro.
God damn it. You got to be in a gym. You've got to be in a gym to be a good coach, like a good trainer.
Yeah.
I've had like compared to when I was in a gym, standing just in there trying to only market the people to come to the gym to train with me because I didn't completely understand how I can utilize online to do it. Versus now, the results I've got and the consistency of retention of clients who are talking long term, fucking contrast in difference.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I feel like that advice may have actually, you know what though? I feel like that advice may have been applicable maybe when you started coaching, because let's just say, 10 years ago or 8 years ago, there was not really a big online market. Online coaching wasn't.
No, not at all. No. Yeah, there was no online coaching. There was like email coaching if you had a international coach or interstate coach, and that's about it really. But yeah, I mean, also though, I guess on the back of that, if you are starting off even now as a PT/coach, get in a gym, get on the floor, mix and match, experience what it's like to go up to, like a client, like a cold client, and just be like, hey, do you need some help? And then, working your way.
Oh yeah, learn rejection.
Get them on as a client. Like have to go through both.
Got to be like that guy on the street that's trying to give you that fucking flyer, or like get you charity or something.
Yeah,
like, 5 minutes of your time. 5 minutes of your time.
Well, it's funny because a lot of people forget like the Cert 3 and Cert 4 that most people will have. The Cert 3 from memory was a gym floor like cert. Like you could go around and help people and correct their form and make sure that everything's sort of safe, right? And then as the Cert 4 was like the PT cert, like that was when you could work one-on-one with a client. But it wasn't to say as a Cert 3 you couldn't walk around and help. So it's like, if you have your certs, walk around and like when you're working in a gym on a gym floor, like walk around and help. The more people see your face more regularly, the more inclined they're going to be like to come up to you and be like, hey, you know, do you want to take me for a session or something like that? Or you can approach them and you build a better rapport with the client. So you're just like, okay, well, you know, you've been here a few times, I've helped you a few times, let's do a session together. And even if you have to do like a free half an hour session, and then that's how you build your client base. Like that's how you build
as
a
simple as
rapport
when
with
you
the
see
client.
him, if you're on the gym floor, just saying, hey, what's up? That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Something as simple as that. And then they see you as a familiar face, and you might start getting chatting to them, and they're like, oh yeah, they want your help, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Other than just like not being on the floor. Like if you, I think that, like I said, that's the best place to start is on the floor.
Yeah.
I've got that one now. 3 hour training sessions. Like I remember like reading the bodybuilding Bible from Arnie and stuff. Like, yeah, we used to train 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, 6 hours in a day. I'd still find time to go to uni, eat my fish and chicken and have no carbs because back then all we did was eat fucking meats and fats.
Meals for babies.
Yeah. And I'm just, like you'd be in the gym for like 2.5 hours or whatever, come up with just like random accessory work to add in. And I was just like, there's definitely like looking back and now you're just like, there is no anabolic reason for doing that.
I was about to say the anabolic window.
Reason.
Yeah, I was gonna say the anabolic window was another one that was always fun. You have to have protein shakes after you work out, otherwise you go catabolic. But anyway, let's not get into that.
Not realizing that most people eat before they go to the gym.
Yes, and most people eat when they get home. What do we got? Who do you think would win in a fight and why between Arnie and The Rock in their primes?
I think The Rock's killing him. To be fair.
So do I.
Yeah.
So do I.
I don't think people realize how big The Rock actually is.
Yeah, he's a fucking
He
monster.
would dwarf Arnold.
Yeah, he's huge.
Like
very big.
He's big now in an era of big people.
Yeah. It's like there's,
but also like strong. Did you see the video the other day about him talking about ripping the gay off the wall?
Yeah,
I have to believe that's bullshit. Yeah. But he literally he bragged about it, and like I find it funny now because he's at the point where he's just so short for who he is, he just brags about it. But he's like, like my gate, obviously because of like family security, because of like intruders and like obsessive fans. He's like, I needed this gate fixed, but he's like, why was the gate broken? He's like, well, it was pissing down rain, the electronics fucked up, and my gate wouldn't open, but I had to get out. And he's like, so what did you do? He's like, well, I just got out and just like ripped it off its hinges and threw it. So I had to call up my security company to get him to come fix this gate. And apparently he received a video of like 4 people trying to lift this gate to put it back on the hinges. And they're just like, what the fuck are you doing? He's just like, well, I just ripped it and threw it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm going with The Rock every day.
Yeah, I feel like The Rock. I think he's just going to rock bottom Arnie and just be like, what up? And give him the people's elbow.
That pointless people's elbow that did literally nothing.
But it was cool. And you got excited every time he did it.
Yeah. You saw that arm sleeve come off, baby.
Yeah, like as soon as he hit the rock bottom, you knew what was coming. Okay, here we go. Let's go. This is a training one. I had a few training questions, so this works. Difference in training slow and controlled and much for aggressive, just move the weight. I'm assuming that means slow and controlled versus.
So I think if you look at the force,
just trying to lose weight.
I think if you look at the relationship between force and velocity, generally speaking, muscle fibers need to be able to have the ability to contract slow, but that is just from being relatively close enough to failure that they start to slow. So the faster that a rep is, the less, I suppose, muscle fibers are actually recruited. So you need to kind of find a good balance, which is why you actually need good technique. If it's too quick or it's too slow, you're not contracting, you're not getting like optimal cross bridge formation, and you're not taking those muscles through a full range of motion.
Well, say on the back of that though, motor unit recruitment only occurs in the concentric. It doesn't really occur on the eccentric. Now, not only it occurs a little bit on the eccentric, but it's the concentric that actually, recruits motor units. So you want an explosive concentric, but you want a controlled eccentric for like a few reasons. But the biggest one, when we move a weight really fast, we have this beautiful biomechanical phenomenon we call the stretch shorten reflex. So, if you're in a squat and you watch people sort of dive bomb, they bounce out of the hole and, pop back up type scenario. And it's like, we have this thing where it has its own, almost like it's elastic energy. It's got its own energy, not its own energy system, but it has its own like substrate of energy. And it's not conducive to hypertrophy. So it's like, if your goal is to try and get a hypertrophic response from a squat, using the stretch reflex is not going to do it for you. Or not going to be as efficient for you. So having a controlled eccentric, doesn't have to be a slow eccentric, a controlled eccentric, and then a more explosive concentric is going to get the best of both worlds, I think.
So I'm not a huge fan of programming tempo to the degree of like 5 and 1. You have to do 10 seconds down and 1 second. But generally, I find like I advise a decent tempo range purely so that someone's cognitively aware of what they're trying to do with the set. Like one of my clients, like he said, he's never thought about training this way before. And I think it was like I might have advised like a 3 and 2 or something, like a 3 and 1, something like that. Like control that 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3 up. And so it's not like I'm like a time under tension. Let's get 20 seconds under that belt. It's just like, when you write it and you get them to think about like, all right, each rep should feel about this, like 2 to 3 second mark in the concentric, and then you get to explode out of it. You kind of get like that decent enough window where there's a slow resistance, but it's not over the top where it's just fatiguing for no reason. You're just sort of wasting energy on an unnecessary rep.
Yeah. Well, I guess the other thing to it as well is if we're talking about hypertrophy, right, we're trying to build muscle. How do we build muscle? We need to tear it down. Where do we tear it down? In the eccentric. So that's
muscle
where
damage is also one of the mechanisms of hypertrophy, even if it's not a massively strong one.
Exactly.
More of a byproduct, not something
exactly
sought after, but you don't just want to be doing.
Yeah. Because then, well, I guess on the flip side to that, if you could do something stupidly, if you could do something stupidly slow, like let's say 10-second eccentrics, how heavy is it? Because then we go back to the proximity to failure argument where tension is king. And if the tension's not there, it doesn't matter how fucking slow you do it. You're not going to get the response anyway. It's kind of like you have to find this balance. And this is why having a coach is ideal. And when we say coach, get Ben, because myself and Chris are full.
I think we know a guy.
What else we got on here? I mean, is there anything else to add on that? I think that was fair.
I think it's pretty good.
I think that covers it. Yeah. I think if you look at the curve of like the force velocity curve, the mid-range point is exactly where you want to be.
Exactly. Fuck, marry, kill. So we have Marge Simpson, Lois Griffin, and Leela.
That's my triple threat.
I'm gonna marry Marge because I think she's an absolute sweetheart.
I agree. She's a great wife. She keeps that family together.
Schemes like all the time. Just the shit.
You have Bart as a kid as well, and you managed to deal with that. Like fucking, you live in the dream, man. Like you got a great mum there.
I think Leela's kind of hot though.
Oh yeah,
I know you do.
I'm gonna kill Lois. I think.
Yeah, Lois.
I think I'm the same. Peter. Yeah, I think I'm the same for that. Just for that voice.
You know, I'm not. We've had this discussion with the nanny before. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It's the same. It's the same thing.
All right, so we know Chris's type. You can be hot as fuck, but if that voice hits that high pitch, now you're out. There's that cutoff point. There's that upper echelon where it's just like, nah, dog. You can be a proper 9 or 10 out of 10, but that voice drops you straight down to a 2.
What do you got, Ben?
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty much gonna be in the same boat. Like Marge is the OG. Like you've got to marry Marge.
Her in a younger day as well. If you look at like when her and Homer were like teenagers.
He's punching from day one. How'd that even happen?
He was punching. He was punching for sure. Even when he had hair, he was still punching.
And she chose him over old mate Bill Gates wannabe. What's his name?
Oh yeah, Marty Ziff.
Marty Ziff. Yeah. Chose
I'll pay you $1 million for one with your wife.
Yeah. Sold. Take it. I think we call that cucking, don't we?
Okay, we'll do another fuck, marry, kill. Dustin Martin, Cooper Cronk, Chris Bumstead.
Oh, I'm marrying Chris Bumstead every day of the week.
Oh, what an odd triple! Like what an odd like.
Yeah, you know who Dustin Martin is, right, Ben?
I believe so.
I know who he is, and
the footy player, AFL footy player from Richmond, tattoos, hair that's done side. He's like a champion. Well, he's going to be a champion football player.
I'm killing Dustin Martin because I don't care for AFL.
Yeah. I'm on the same token there.
See, this is hard because I do love Cooper Cronk as well.
Yeah,
I love Cooper Cronk.
I love Cooper Cronk, but I also love AFL. So as much as I don't like Richmond, I like Dusty Martin. Like he's a great player. So this is hard.
Nah, he's gone.
Nah, he's out. Okay.
So I think
can't take a hit.
So I think I'm probably gonna have to marry. I'd probably marry Chris only because we can train. Like obviously, that's.
And he's a sweetheart.
He's a sweetheart.
Sweetheart.
His legs are really full.
This is the funny thing because Dustin Martin, you have a good time going out getting on the beers.
That's true. Actually, that is
Like
true.
he's
Cooper
a party fucking animal. Yeah, I think Cooper Cronk is just too. Yeah, Cooper's just too level. Like he's a good boy.
Yeah, you would have a good time with Dustin Martin, I reckon.
Yeah, like this is where it tosses up. So I think I'd probably fuck Dusty and kill.
It's
Cooper
almost like
that.
I would have to either marry Bumstead or
Cronk.
Cooper Cronk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
No,
Bumstead's
marry
not going
Chris
out
the
partying either.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't mind.
You're getting a
'cause I can
lifetime.
train.
You're getting a
No, but
lifetime
that's why
of
you'd
training.
marry him.
That's why you marry him.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, exactly.
And
So
you
I'd
get some
go-
cheap gym. You get some cheap Gymshark gear.
Yeah, that's true.
You get revive all the gear.
Yeah.
Just saying. Use my code. It's fine.
Flex over here.
Hey man, they sent me some free shit. I'm fucking excited. I can't wait.
Is that
So you made it.
Has our gas buff come out?
Not yet. Not yet. I'll tell you when it comes. Relax.
Got a shirt. I just thought I'd add that in there. That we got some stuff coming. Black Friday sales got us.
They did.
Ben,
And
did you buy
I got the
anything
Tim.
on
I got the
Black Friday
Tim.
sales?
I got the Tim Grover. Tim Grover.
Not the Tim Grover guy.
Yeah, Tim
The
Grover.
unstoppable guy.
Yeah, relentless. Fucking mate, he's a weapon.
Good
I
move.
liked him.
Good
I liked him long before The Last Dance came around. I had his book like probably 3 years ago. I actually have a signed autograph copy from him, which is actually pretty cool. He's kind of like I respect him more than just being like the unstoppable guy. Like his approach mixed with like sort of like Jordan Peterson. They're the two people I draw from in the way I approach psychology and performance. So his whole system went on sale for like 87% off. I don't know why 87, but yeah, it was like $4,000 US down to like $500. I was like, boom, I'll get it.
The book is mad. Az, have you read Relentless?
No, I haven't read it yet. I haven't read it.
Relentless, and then Winning. Like read them in that order. Fucking
Been reading, as you can see behind me, way too many textbooks.
is that Backdoor Sluts 9 down there? I think I see.
No, that's on my web browser on the other.
That's actually what I've been picking up and looking at right now.
Ridiculous. Who has their porn still in a fucking VCR?
It's DVD or bust.
Fucking American Pie? What is
Nah,
it?
mate, back in the day, it was the Kmart catalogs.
Oh,
The lingerie section.
Take what you need.
Well,
Sports Illustrated. Those are the days. FHM.
You're lucky you'd be able to find one of your dad's old picture magazines.
Mom, why won't this open?
Man, they used to have the craziest little stories from like I think listeners would like write
Oh
in
yes,
the back of them. Oh, that was so good.
Story logs.
Man, it's so story. That's like the original like storyline, like pornos and stuff. It's
They
so-
have to be just made up by like the editor, surely.
Oh, they have to be. You read them and you're just like, there's no way this happened.
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
hasn't happened to me now. There's no
Yeah.
way this happened.
N equals 1 over here. All right, here we go. Free subs and training, but you have to go vegan, or 2 times the price, but you can only eat KFC for 1 year. I don't know what that last part actually means. If you guys can make any sense of that.
Can
I
you
think like as in like the subs and that. Are
So you can have free subs and training, but you have to be a vegan.
Okay.
Or it says 2 times the price, but you can only eat KFC for 1 year.
Oh, so they're asking you, like your sole source of nutrition is basically just KFC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And does that mean that it's double the price still though? Like what's 2 times price?
subs and nutrition, like subs and training? Is that 2 times the price?
Maybe, I don't know. Should be
I'm
more
still going to
specific
say
question.
I'm going to eat the KFC for a year because
Yeah, is it calorie like are we playing with like unlimited calories here or like no calorie gain?
I can only go by what
Let's
they
set some
want.
rules for it then. Let's say if it's unlimited, like you're not gonna get fat from it, but you can only eat KFC, so you're probably gonna feel like shit. But
you're
I'm still
gonna
gonna
feel
do
terrible. You're gonna feel
the, yeah,
fucking
I'm still
horrible.
gonna do the, I'm still gonna do the
I'm just
KFC.
going to hope that I adapt to that sort of food. after
I'll
a
just
while.
buy a greens powder.
See, I think this is the only time I'm probably going to go free subs and training and go vegan.
Kill yourself.
Hang on. I just want to know what I want to know is if it's only KFC, because it seems like a bit of a stretch to say that you can just go vegan and you have subs, but you can only have KFC as your only source of nutrition. That seems a little bit.
I'm just reading what's on the question, mate. That's all I can do.
You know,
So
did you see on the live episode where Fouad's like trying to read through the questions he's got on his phone? It's like fucking Americans, there's a shit fucking question, and it's like flicks to another one. Just tearing his listeners apart.
There is a couple
I reckon
more
if
here.
there's no calorie restriction KFC, if I still need to bodybuild, vegan and subs.
Yeah. If it's just an unlimited calories, but it's like the price is double the price, I'll go KFC. But if I'm training and still trying to modify and adequately achieve health and bodybuild, I can suffer penis and go vegan.
Yeah, fair enough.
It'd be easy
How
to go
about-
vegan these days. Wouldn't it be that difficult?
This would be a good question. I like this one. This one's going to get some riled up people on this podcast, I think. Coaches allowing their clients to blast PEDs because they want to get on stage ASAP.
That's basically every IFBB pro coach in Australia, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, right. I
think all three of us, none of us would actually be a fan of that. I mean, there's going to be periods where they're going to have to blast, but
even the degree to which blasting is a blast, like the numbers I've heard and seen of programming,
it's like disgusting.
Yeah, it's like it sounds painful more than anything that does beneficial. Like it just sounds painful. Like you're probably pissing blood at some point, turning yellow. Like you're gonna just end up with some sort of like renal failure. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like, but to do it in such a way that you haven't even established the foundations first and foremost to how to achieve a long-term goal or a short-term goal, but you haven't established the foundations to even get there based on nutrition, sleep, food, hygiene, behaviors.
Yeah, it's
taking a few remedies, you'll be right.
Yeah.
So
you're not sleeping for more than 6 hours a night? I just train. Just add some more training.
Yeah, well, it's like people are so far. I think it's like a two-pronged thing, right? Because it's not just the coach. Like, don't get me wrong, the coach has their, duty of care and to make the client understand, hey, like you might want to get on stage in 3 months, but you're not ready to get on stage in 3 months, right? That's the coach's sort of,
and
job.
that's the difference. That is the difference between us and them. We would say to that client, absolutely not. It's not happening.
It's also on the client to accept that, though.
Yeah.
So some clients will not want to hear, hey, you're going to have to do 12 months of like actual training, habit formation and all that sort of stuff before we can even consider touching this. And they'll go off. And I've had consults with clients, like potential clients, where like I had a strongman client come on board, or not come on board. Sorry. We did the consult process. Really nice dude, like nothing, bad at all. He was just basically saying that, he's wanting to do, all this, like get as strong as possible. He's like, I'm open and I'm an open book. You can suggest whatever you like, let's do this. And I'm kind of like, cool. Ran through some questions, got some, data from him. And it's like, all right, dude. So, you're a little probably on the fatter side to start using PEDs. So first and foremost is like, let's get on top of your nutrition. Let's get your body composition in a better position where we can utilize these compounds in a better way or a more efficient way.
You don't want to aromatize straight away?
Exactly right. Who would have thought like getting bitch tits is what you want first off the bat, right? So I sort of said I'm trying to explain this to him and I'm being, completely polite and he's being really respectful, understanding. He goes, and at the end of it, we got to the point where it's just, he's like, look, I just want to do this and get swole. I can get strong. And I'm like, that's cool, man. I go, you just don't fit my way of coaching. I go, I think it's probably best that you try and seek coaching elsewhere. That's, someone that's willing to do that, because my duty of care to you is your health first and foremost.
Yeah.
And, I don't care sort of what you want. I'm going to give you what you need first. And then we can work on what you want.
A lot of coaches that just would not even care. The first thought that comes to their mind is money in the bank.
Yeah.
Money.
They don't give a shit about someone's health, Yeah.
And it's like, it looks good for the profile. Looks good for your Instagram profile, right? You drug someone up really, really high, get them on stage, they look phenomenal, or even the process of getting on stage. They don't even have to get on stage. They just look great because they get jacked. You put up a transformation photo and you're like, shit, this is what happens. It's like, well, yeah. Like
every conversation I've had so far where none of my clients are short of 2023 for desire to get on stage. And that's with understanding that their perception first is on experience comp preps and experience that whole process as a natural, and then look at if I suit that. Because this is one of the conversations I had with someone to try and get them around the whole, like there's a few deaths obviously happening in bodybuilding. We can dive into that one day. And they became a bit like more concerned about that whole side of things. I was like, look, you are so far from this equation to even be concerned about it. The thing that gets me is guys will go straight balls to the walls, take everything under the sun, and then pull out in a year's time from like they've done one show, never compete again, just took 15 years off their lifespan to win a plastic trophy, and then find out they didn't enjoy the actual process. They just wanted to do the short-term achievement.
Well, they don't realize bodybuilding is such a long game as well.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not willing to sustain that over long periods of time. So for my guys, I've said to them, like, I'm more than happy to play this game, get you there, get you in the right mindset, build the right foundations, understand things first. And then if it turns out after doing a natty show or getting into prep, you didn't like it, and you just rather understand the benefits and principles of training and nutrition for yourself, great. We haven't taken any time off your life or lost any health markers. You're still in a great chance to just bounce back and like build a great physique, but maybe you just don't want to do the whole competition side. If you just go balls to the walls and throw every drug under the sun into your system, you've just sacrificed 5-10 years off your life. Probably, if you're willing to do that, you're also not mitigating it with other micronutrients and other like nutritional factors. So you're just decreasing your lifespan for no reason.
Yeah, a good coach will first and foremost, especially if it's down that route, make sure that they'll ask for actual blood work, and it will be semi-regular. You know, every 12 to 16, maybe 20 weeks max, depending on what phase that client's actually in. Also asking you to actually measure your biomarkers, i.e. blood pressure, resting heart rate, blood glucose. These, in my opinion, are like 3 minimalistic things that any individual can do to have the health at their forefront of their mind. It's not difficult. You know, it's not difficult to do those things.
If you can afford drugs, you can. I literally got my like blood pressure machine for things like $60 at Chemist Warehouse.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's such a twisted mindset. They'll buy the drugs first and then, oh no, I can't afford a blood pressure cuff. Are you fucking serious? Yeah. Like, mate, what it actually blows
you told
my
me
mind.
you've got no price cap for this cycle. We've just given like $2,000 worth of drugs, but you go, oh, I can't afford a $60 machine.
Yeah.
People are a bit twisted in that aspect, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was a good one. How did you learn about PEDs and blood work? Hold on. How did you learn about PEDs and blood work? How did you learn about it? So he wrote it twice, but anyway.
So, meth. I was playing with meth.
A lot of, I'll answer this seriously. A lot of, so first and foremost, I would follow a lot of people that I think that really pioneered a safer approach to this. Guys like Victor Black, Joe Jeffrey. I suppose you could throw Dean McKillop into that now. You know, your other guys like, what's the other guy that you had on your podcast, Aaron?
Which one? I had a lot.
The guy that's not that well known yet, Austin Stout.
Aaron Chacon.
Austin,
yeah. I've had a few really good guys on there.
Yeah. So I think, and all muscle mentors as well. And they
definitely
do something.
Yeah. Like there's so many people you can learn from. They all have subscription sites that, you know, you have guys like you Victor Black and you have their website. You have Broderick Chavez, Evil Genius website.
Broderick's another good one.
Yeah. Then you have like, you know, again, like my coach, Joe, he's got his website. Like these guys are all putting out tons of content on their sites about this sort of stuff. So it's kind of like, you know, jump on there and follow them. The hardest part, I think, is trying to cycle through what's sort of correct or
good and bad, right? That's the hardest part.
Like what's worth listening to and what's not worth listening to. And I think for me, the biggest contrast I find in this, you know, industry when it comes to PEDs, like when it comes to performance, I guess, and that sort of stuff, looking at the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Victor on one side, you know, minimalistic use, very, very safe, safer. And then you have the opposite end of the spectrum is Broderick, who's like,
you just fucking send it.
Take it all, get fucking huge, die young, we don't care. Like,
you
know, I mean, that's not really Broderick, but like, you know, that's sort of the mentality. It's kind of like, hey, if you're wanting to do this, fuck it, do it. Like, that's your call. You know, you're an adult. We're not going to treat it like a kid. Whereas Victor's like, why would you do all this when you could do this and just take a slower approach and go for a longer period of time?
I think regardless who you're listening to, one of the biggest things to kind of watch out for is, are they actually taking it from clinical literature we have from human use? Is it not approved for human use? And like, you know, I mean, there's a lot of this that is going to be in rodents as well, to be fair, a lot of the evidence with like a lot of PEDs, but in saying that, like the ethical, I'm not sure what I'm looking for in terms of the word, but is ethicalness a word?
No, I don't.
Let's just say, I didn't think it was. Let's just say it's not ethical to really, you know, use a lot of this stuff on humans. So a lot of the stuff that is in rodents, you know, that's kind of where you need to make a bit of a jump from. Will it be exact same in humans? No. But, you know, stuff like telmisartan, stuff like that, you know, we can be pretty sure that if it does a lot of good stuff, then it's probably still worth using, you know, or has some sort of application. But I think the main thing is that they are taking actual evidence from different cohorts of people. Oh, John Jewett's another one you could throw into there as well. And then applying that to, you know, real world scenarios, because I think that's important too. And that's what John does really well, is he's very good at applying the evidence to real world scenarios. Same with guys like Joe, Victor. They never really have something there that doesn't have some sort of evidence to support it. There'll always be some sort of rationale behind why they're doing it. Not just like, I'm just going to throw this in for the hell of it. You know,
Yep.
They should be able to ask you every single thing in your stack design should have a reason behind why it's in there.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that is I think that's the big difference is if someone can say why they've chosen an ester or a substance or an oil choice versus someone saying just trust me, that's a key indicator to me to who I not listen to, but take information from. And then also try and conflict the information. Look for is the reasons you've say you've gone to someone and they've said this is why they're doing it, is that backed up by multiple sources of people or references, or are you just getting it from one guy who's also like a bro builder who's just like the guy in the gym who said, yeah, I'll take all these. Like making sure that your reasoning or the rationale that's been given to you is backed up by other people, that those people are also grounded in the same sort of ethics and choices and science and data, so that you're getting multiple reference points to confirm and sort of like triangulate your opinion or I guess your option. Because if you start getting, just one guy say it and then there's 20 other people saying completely opposite shit, chances are there's something missing in there that's just not true. And you need to reassess who you get your information from.
Yeah, listen to both, because guys like Broderick and Victor will often butt heads a lot. But there's still a lot of similarities in their approaches. So listen to things that they say and then kind of compare and contrast and then make the decision for yourself. But make sure you're at least in the right wheelhouse with the people that you're listening to first and foremost, before you even, just think about doing anything.
To say the other thing as well you can do is literally just buy books. Like sometimes a simple textbook will put you in the ballpark, and at least you'll have a basic fundamental idea. And then that way, when you listen to these guys, you can be like, okay, now I kind of get what's going on, instead of sort of being a one tribe type person where I've got textbooks on pharmacology. I've got not even including, compound use and steroids. It's just literally how to read bloods, what blood markers to look at and all that sort of stuff, like pathology, all this sort of stuff. So getting these textbooks and reading them will give you, a baseline foundation. And then from there, you can, start to expand your knowledge on that sort of stuff as well.
There's no point looking at a sheet of blood work and you see something like RBC and you don't know what the fuck that stands for.
Exactly right. And actually, what's even more funny? You get your blood work and just fucking Google every single one on there.
Yeah.
Write down some notes. Write down, hey, this is what this is for. This is what this is for. And you'll get better over time when you start reading your own bloods, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember what this is. I remember what this is. Okay, cool. And then you can make it, you can then start to make your own adjustments, provided it's not anything obviously serious, which get a mentor, which is another thing.
Just cramming a bunch of anti-esters and what do you call it, esters.
I do think investing in a mentor, especially down this path that has the potential to be very deleterious to your health, first and foremost, is the most important thing to do.
Yeah, don't just trust the biggest guy you see on Instagram. Fuck.
Or in the gym, and he'll just tell you,
gym,
oh, yeah, bro, I run this, and this, and then you just
600 milligrams of test a week. It's cool. Thanks, bro. Should we take one more question, or should we move on to a shame of life? What do you want?
I'm liking these questions. Let's go one more question.
This is a decent one. We'll finish on this one because it's gonna, I think, take a while. But how do we stay positive or motivated if Omicron shuts us down?
Well, fuck. This is the third prep that I've had.
Chris,
honestly,
just quit at this point.
If it shuts it down, it won't worry me, because
throwing the table around us. Fuck this shit.
It's I don't see bodybuilding with an end date. It's not like I get to the end of the show and then I'm like, well, I'm never going to bodybuild again.
Yeah,
it's just well, I'll just switch back into a growth phase, and the stage is always going to be there. So
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, that's literally how I approached my cancel one 2 years ago, 18 months ago, something like that. What the fuck it was?
And look at it through a short-term lens.
Yeah, it's we've already seen that things go back to normal. Predominantly, even if things do shut down, everyone is starting to get vaccinated now. So they're going to be less restrictive on those movements, and the fact that people are getting their vaccinations and moving forward with all sort of shit. So the plan is obviously to open up eventually because people are vaccinated. So the restriction limit is probably going to be a lot less than it has been in the past, because we're reaching that 80 or 90% mark for most of Australia now having at least level first dose, or whatever it is, like in dose one. So the likelihood that this is going to be that massive is going to be small. So stop reacting and start looking so people put too much emphasis on things outside of their control. They focus on their training, their lifestyles, their habits. Start focusing on the things that you can control and start to put those in place. In the worst case scenario, this even happens, but you should already be not so concerned with outside factors like that, because, well, like Chris, if it does happen, what, are you going to quit bodybuilding? You're going to quit training and nutrition forever? Is that it?
Exactly right.
That's, I get I get you've prepped for 6 months or 3 months, and it was the hardest 3 months of your life, and you suffered more than anyone else, and I get all of those things, but it just is what it is. It is outside of your control. Okay, cool. So what is in your control? We've been through this before. Like I think we did a whole episode on it, like fucking in like the early weeks of the podcast. But what is in your control that you can do to mitigate the consequences or the detrimental effects to your training, nutrition? Okay, you can start having some equipment at home. Great. You can still, no one has a gun to your head to say you have to order Uber Eats or fucking, sit there eating packets of Doritos and Tim Tams. You can still stick to a calorie restricted limit or a calorie limit range. Drop that down because you're probably going to be less intense in your training and you're not going to be doing as much activity. So maybe decrease your calories a little bit. But these are all mitigating factors that you can control. Just because this may happen, there's no point getting worked up about. Like it's just creating an external anxiety that isn't even a guaranteed factor yet.
I'm going to be a lot more blunt. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. That's it. That's it.
It's just basically Chris.
The world don't owe you nothing.
This entire eating disorder for no reason. Again, the fourth time he's given himself an eating disorder.
Bro, fucking
can't utilize
someone. You got to see someone. I'll see who I can recommend from uni.
Can you go anyone?
First years.
Yeah, I'll see what fucking psych. You know how unis have like the medical wards where like students work for free and like you get to see
they do like their third year like placement experience or whatever it is.
I'll see what third year psych students I can find you, bro, and we'll get you.
They used to be the best in uni when you go to see the chiro students and they're like third year chiro. Like sometimes you get some really good ones. You're like, yeah, fuck, this is great, and then you get to the duds and you're like, fuck me, I paid $5 for this. Hey man, uni days, $5 was a lot.
Yeah, I think at this point, if you're this far into like where we all are with COVID and stuff, and you're still reacting like this, it's more on you. Plain and simple, really. Like
control the way you react to any situation.
Yeah, you at this point you should be more cognitively aware of what potentially could happen and have things.
I'm aware that that's going to happen. That it could potentially happen. Yeah, not going to change anything.
Yep, exactly. So.
All right, should we move on to shame of life? We'll do like 1 or 2 questions considering we've been ranting for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why not?
All right, this is, I feel like, a fun one to start with. So this is a dilemma. Netflix wants to do a special about you. Where would you prefer them to get their material? Interviews with your exes or hidden cameras in your house? I feel like it's a good one. That's a good question. I like that question.
That's pretty good.
I like that question. With my exes.
I feel like both are a lose-lose for me.
I mean, as long as they just like seeing me stroke at least 20 times a day.
Yeah, I was kind of like, do you want to watch porn or... It's like my day's pretty fucking boring these days. Work on the laptop, not in the house when I go to the gym.
Yeah. I mean, if you want some more like exciting material to get emotional involvement, you're gonna go my exes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you want the viewers to enjoy it, go to the exes. If you want,
I've been single for 3 years, so any understanding they have on my lifestyle currently is way off. So go to exes. You're not going to learn shit, but it'll be funny. And they tell you how small my dick is. That's about it.
You know what's even more funny? The next question: the most off-putting sound effect for penetration.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fran's voice for Chris. Chris.
Oh.
Sheffield. Yeah, Mr. Sheffield.
Oh God.
An off-putting sound. I feel like an off-putting sound would be like something breaking or snapping. I'll be like, okay, we're done.
That glass shattering noise when Stone Cold walks in the ring.
That'd be the best.
That'd actually be pretty cool. If I heard that, I'd be like, we on.
It's like the Rock's entry music. Do you smell?
I shouldn't be smelling shit. What is this?
Can you pause for a second, guys?
Yeah. Go on. Actually, no, we're going to continue on. Nah, fuck it. We're going to continue. We're going to continue on.
Yeah. I love how we all have to check that that's actually been paused. It was like,
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's paused. Said no one ever.
Just have one of those like FBI systems where we can control his screen and just zoom it on him in the toilet. Why is his mic moving?
It just turns as he leaves. Like, wait, what?
It's one of those like sensory cameras that like zooms in on the person. He just forgot to turn it off. No, what is a disgusting penetrating noise? I can't think of one. Like, there's so many, but like, what would it be? Oh,
Well, it was the most off-putting sound effect for penetration. So it's like
the noise when you do a good Grogan and it first reaches the water, you see like that. It's like a thump. Like, it'd be pretty weird if you heard that, but also like, I don't know, I feel like that'd make me laugh more than be off put.
Yeah, right. Like, I can't think of like an actual, like, I mean, an off, like I said, a sound that would put me off is how I sort of read it, right? It's like, for me, anything breaking or snapping, like, I'm like, I'm like, I'm
like that pop when you hear a hamstring go, or like a fucking bicep tear, like just rip off.
Yeah.
If you heard that, you're instantly just pulling out, being like, what just happened?
Yeah, right. That's kind of like shit. Like that.
Is my dick still functioning as little as it already does?
That's not meant to happen. Like, this is gonna be a great question. We need Chris back for this one, but this is actually funny. I'll tell you the most unusual magazine to pleasure yourself to. Considering you've already rolled off. So.
I thought I could make it. Oh, but I couldn't make it. Oh.
Anyway,
that definitely didn't stop recording either.
No,
it's been going the whole time.
We didn't pause. We continue on. So here we go. The most unusual magazine to pleasure yourself to.
God, I want to make a Mr. Toys catalog joke.
What'd you say?
Golfer's Digest.
Golfer's Digest. Wait, is this something you have done before?
Oh, I'm just saying it'd just be weird. You know, it's like full of golf clubs.
Yeah, I feel like you've done this before. That was a very quick response.
I heard it from a friend.
It's not from a friend.
Yeah,
that was a very quick suggestion.
It was a very fast
right
response.
Off the bat.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I was going to make a Mr. Toys joke, but I won't. So,
Women's Weekly.
No, I feel like
I feel like that's not that unusual. I mean, there are women in it.
What about K Zone?
Fuck, those were the days. That's a great magazine.
That's pretty weird. That's
horrendously weird, but good pick.
Probably in prison for that.
I wonder how many of the listeners actually remember K-Zone. Like, that'll give us an idea of how old everyone is.
Yeah, age bracket of who we're talking to.
It's like you got like opposite ends of the spectrum, like K-Zone. Or K-Zone, I was too old for that.
Mobiles and telephones and all that jazz. They don't understand what it was like getting a episode of K-Zone. It was good. Weekly episode.
If you didn't have to dial up your internet to read the online K-Zone magazine.
Yeah, true. All right, last one, because we've been here for a while.
All right.
Out of all the historical figures, who had the meatiest genitals?
Meatiest genitals. Oh, Genghis Khan. He fucked everyone. That dude was definitely pumped, like packing meat.
Oh, I mean, he did dominate most of the world out of all of them. Alexander the Great.
Honest Abe.
Yeah. Alexander the Great, I reckon.
Yeah, it wasn't his feet that was called grateful, that's for sure.
100%. It was his testicles. That were just huge.
What about Napoleon? He's compensating for something?
Maybe.
Oh, he's definitely compensating. He is the pinnacle. That's why it's called Napoleon syndrome.
He has big nuts.
No, I think he's nuts.
Well, it makes the nuts look bigger.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's all an illusion.
That's why I like testosterone. Emphasize the other way.
And then you get bigger quads and everything looks small.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, old Carney boy, he fucked everyone and everything. I think like 1/10 of Asia now has some sort of like lineage to him.
Yeah, to him. Yeah, like
something like that.
Didn't they say that everyone could?
What a fucking weapon!
Yeah, isn't it like everyone somewhere down the line can be like traced back to Genghis Khan? Something along those lines. It's crazy.
He rode his way across to Europe. Like, he's the reason the Black Plague took off. They launched dead bodies filled with locusts and rats, and that was like, cool. You just created a plague that killed 40 million people. But
nice.
Yeah. Well done. Well played, sir.
And he did it all with a bloody bow and arrow.
I see you've played Knifey Spoony before.
Yeah. That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Yeah, nope. That's a big old dick.
That's a spoon.
Big old dick.
For these nuts.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to think of, like, I mean, Stalin just had big nuts. That dude was ballsy.
What about?
I mean, Hitler. You're gonna say then if you're gonna do that, Mussolini, like these guys were.
Mussolini was a bitch.
I mean, he got the trains to run on time. He did very well with that. And they literally, I don't know if you've ever been to Italy. They fucking run on time.
If that makes up for everything else they did,
bro, it's amazing.
What did fascism do? Well, it gave us on time trains.
Literally 9 a.m. trains there, like the parts. You're like, fuck,
What
this is
about
great.
What about Captain Cook?
What about him?
Just trying to think about the size of his nuts.
I mean, I think in comparison to the guys we're talking about, they're probably not as big.
Yeah, not as influential. I'm just thinking of like influential characters throughout history that I pop in.
Because then you look at like Christopher Columbus and shit like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, like they're good. They're just not
Martin
that.
Luther King definitely had a demon.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, he got
100%.
that African
What
American.
about Barack Obama?
Barack Obama. Malcolm
Well,
X.
I feel like the
We go down
Senate
the history
fucking
lane.
to him than he fucked them, really. So maybe.
Maybe Donald Trump.
Oh,
Yeah, it's some big ones to do some of the shit.
yeah, like what's the word? Not conversational. What's the word? Fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Confrontational? No, what's the word? For fuck's sake.
English, mate. English.
Yeah, no, it's not my first language. Point is, disagreed opinion.
About MJ.
He had a big dick. Is what I'm getting at.
Okay, there we got there.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan or Michael Jackson?
Wow. Well, no, let's go Michael Jordan.
Did he go from having the big black dick down to the little white dick? Is that what's going to happen here?
Well, I don't feel like we don't know these things. Like we don't know the
Questions that should be
intricacies of his
answered.
surgery. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Should have been on his documentary.
Hey,
Mamba?
Was Kobe the Mamba?
yeah,
Yes.
Kobe, yeah.
The Black Mamba.
Interesting name.
Yeah.
Side note, that was actually selected based off the assassin from Kill Bill. That's where he got it from.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also because he killed Bill with it. Bill was actually its name. Jub.
God. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there any other one that was actually really, really like influential?
Who sticks in your mind as the most influential person out of all of history?
Oh, Genghis Khan's the most influential, probably. But like in terms of he dominated the most of the free world. But Alexander the Great, I think, was second from memory.
Yeah. Alexander's playing a big role for me.
Yeah, Alexander the Great was good.
Yeah. But then, I mean, you could also go back to like.
You could look at people like Achilles if you really want to go there. Like that dude, he was a badass.
Then you could go back to like Darius uniting pretty much all of the Middle Eastern world, creating the probably second largest empire of all time.
Yeah. Anyway, these things.
Yeah.
Things to debate.
There's a philosophical question for you.
Yes. Well, let's end it there because we've been talking for too long. As always, anything coming up? I know Chris still hasn't done any work on his
like another week, made no
courses.
effort.
I've actually done a ton of work. So it's just we want to deliver. We don't want to be doing like multiple courses, you know?
Yeah.
We don't want to have like 15 courses on a website and it's just you fucking go and pick whatever you want, like clean health. It's more, you know, targeted to everything you need to know of how to transform a physique. You know, everything that comes along with that. And there's obviously so many different components to it. So there's already like 6 or 7 modules that I've got in this and they're all extremely long. So I haven't even started recording yet. Once all the content's done, they're going to be very good. So once they're completed, there's not going to be anything much like them.
And what's the
theoretical knowledge with experience.
What's the ETA on this completion date?
I cannot confirm or deny.
2025.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say because the longer the content prep goes on, the more my brain capacity goes.
We're going to be in triple figures of this podcast by the time it comes out.
Probably. Benny boy, anything going on?
I'm very much in the same boat. A lot of my time now is going to be focused on, well, obviously clients first and foremost, because, well, they're my fucking most important thing. But
pay your bills.
That, and I just fucking really care about them. I actually want to get results. It's weird. Some of us as coaches might do that. It's odd, right?
Yeah, who would have thought?
But as you can see in the background here, if my laptop wishes to move, the whiteboards are very, very, very full. To the point of
looks like dicks on there. I can't see any penises.
Oh, there's one. I've left one. I always made sure there's room for one. It's small like mine, but it's there.
Oh, you've actually even started writing on the mirror.
Yeah. The mirrors now is like is taken up Like I didn't have
Really,
enough
I'm a
whiteboard.
crazy motherfucker just in that room, just scribbling
That's
nonsense.
what I was saying last night. It's like the episode of Simpsons when Homer's like, "No beer and food make Homer something."
Something. Yeah.
Go crazy? Don't mind if I do.
That or
That's
like
me.
a beautiful mind and he's writing everywhere.
Yeah, so I was thinking a beautiful mind, just drawing shit all over that.
Yeah.
Next to it.
None of that's actually words. None of that is
Yeah.
actually words. Comprehensible to no one. It's
Yeah.
just like
You just dropped a bunch of
Sanskrit
fucking
and-
acid or shrooms and just
Yeah.
saw what happened.
I just held pens in my hand and thought this would be funny. No, it is actually going to be. I've actually very quickly started getting into the scripture write out now that I actually want to have included and said and talked about, because I feel a lot of people are touching the surface of certain things and it's under delivering what people actually need to understand when they get into these concepts. So for me, it was I want to make it so in depth and so complex, but then simplified that it's illogical not to do this course if this is the route you want to take. So I just want to basically make it so comprehensible as it blows everyone else out of the water.
Sounds good.
That's why these things take time, Ben, right?
Mhm.
Yes. Did I set arbitrary end dates that I want to have it done by? Yes. Is it likely that will stick through? Judging on the amount of times I've changed that board already, probably not. But we'll see how it goes.
Day by day.
But yeah, still taking on clients. So don't wait till the new year to get started, because I still had a client literally join on last week. So none of this new year, new me bullshit.
Yes. No. If you're going to start today. And by today, I mean yesterday.
The one. And yourself, big boy?
Just mentorship. I'm just winding down till the end of the year. Pretty much I'm going to do the opposite. Usually I sort of get shit, going and prep for next year. This time it's been a crazy couple of years. So I'm just going to chill,
Nice
wind
to
down
take a step
slowly.
back, isn't it?
Yeah, just wind down. I've just got the mentorship, but I've already got a lot of content written, and like my whiteboard's behind me, which is a ton of shit that I've written content for or going to write content for. For
The other
mentorship,
side, if you
so-
flip that, is just a lot of dick pics. If you look on the
Nah, I'm boobs. Your dicks, I'm boobs.
together, we create a hermaphrodite.
Together, very confused. But yeah, so that's really it for me, man. Pretty straightforward. My book is full, so no more clients for me, just mentorship stuff going forward, really.
Beautiful.
Yeah. As always, thank you to the listeners for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Wouldn't be here without you.
Absolute
And
pleasure.
if you do have ideas that you want us to chat about, just DM one of us or put it in the question box that usually goes up on a Tuesday night, and then a second one that I'll throw up usually on a Wednesday morning just to get.
I'll
those
get back to
answers.
put mine up as well, because I've just been
Questions
busy and lazy.
Yeah, you guys are just lazy.
Every time I
fucks,
see
but-
yours, I'm like, fuck, I should do that. And then I just
Don't do it, even though you've just seen me
I
do
should.
it.
Or you was like, fuck,
I always
you
tell
said
myself I'll do that later, and then I look at, and then I just forget because Ben doesn't do it. So I'm like, oh. Well.
And then I'm waiting for the
Do
day
as
that
I
one
say,
of
not
you-
as I do.
But the
yeah,
problem
I'm waiting
is how many questions can we really get? Because you've got enough questions to last us like fucking. We've been here like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
No,
so just do it. But anyway, the funny thing for me is I'm waiting for one of you guys to put a question in the question box.
Oh, yeah, I've thought about it so many times.
I'm waiting for it.
The other thing too,
Wait,
before
you
we
mean
forget,
that we weren't
is-
already making those questions ourselves?
Yeah, just fake accounts.
They're all Scaffy's questions, by the way. You guys will
Hey,
have
well,
to let me
you're
know what goes on with this Omicron shit with interstate travel.
Oh right. Well, I mean,
Oh
just
yeah,
keep
because
an
I'm
eye
supposed to be
out.
coming home to Queensland for Christmas anyway, so that could.
Oh,
fuck
yeah?
me. We'll see. Yeah,
Where's
Yeah, I mean,
home?
I think
Oh, north.
I think
far north. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so far there's no real crazy change, but
Yeah, I didn't
guess
think so.
We'll keep an eye out and see.
Yeah, that's it for me, though.
All right, guys and girls, as always, thank you very much, and we will speak to you again soon. Goodbye.
You guys.
Thank you and good night.